Good morning. This is a demo of the Debtors module that will be released soon. I am Shonice. I'm the QC test manager at Debtors, so I will be taking you through this functionality. It is still in development, so we will find a couple of bugs and cosmetic and grammar issues as we go through the demo. Some of the functionality I'm also seeing for the first time, so we'll go through this together and just have an idea of what the new Debtors module is going to look like. So to start off, once the Debtors module has been migrated or deployed on a specific environment, the setup option will be available. For today's demo, I'm doing this on one of the developers' environments. In order to enable the Debtors module, one would click on Setup, System Settings, and then the Debtors module option will be available. Debtors module active, you need to enable the toggle button to on. I will probably log a request to just change the wording there. But to enable the module, you would click on that button there. Then you've got general data settings. You can choose the default customer that all unallocated receipts need to be assigned to. And then under the document settings tab, you can set the document starting numbers for your processing documents and then always update to save your changes. Once this module has been enabled, then you've set up your settings. There are no specific permissions for an admin user or normal user that needs to be enabled. Currently, under the permissions tab on this specific environment, there's just super user mode. So I will confirm with the developer if there's going to be a specific permission for this module as well. I do think that there should be, but I will get confirmation. So once the setup of the module is complete, the Debtors tab, menu tab will appear. The first couple of things that you would need to set up in order to get processing going would be billing account types and accounts. If you navigate to Debtors, billing account types, here you can select to add a type. This is simply just adding an account name, the type's name, and the account type description. This will then get used when you navigate to Debtors and then Accounts. The account type that you created would be available on the drop down here. And then this is where you are able to choose the category that goes with this account type. So for this testing purpose, I have already created one. Okay, there is a potential issue there. All right. And I'm changing it back to other income. So this is a bug that we have at the moment. It is not saving the changes. So although it says other income, there's a few, there we go, it's still reverting back to cost of sales. So this is something that will get fixed before the module goes live. I have logged this issue. Okay, once you have set up your billing account types and accounts, you can then proceed to create your bank accounts. All right, that is when you navigate to Debtors and then bank accounts. This is quite straightforward. You can click to add a bank account name, bank account number, branch name, and branch code. The bank account number and branch code fields are currently alphanumeric and special characters. I've logged for this to just be numeric. There is no specific validation on these fields, so you can enter as many characters as you want. This is something that I would personally like to log as well, just for integrity on our bank account numbers and branch codes. Okay, once you have added your bank accounts, there you can navigate to Debtors and tax types. So for the Debtors module, a specific tax type menu has been created. Currently for Sage 1, under the billing setup, default tax rates. This is the current tax setup that works with Sage 1 and also when manually importing invoices and credit notes and so forth. I prefer the way this one looks because it works with the effective date and we've got a tax rate percentage. So I am currently talking to the developer about the tax types relating to the debtors module because I would prefer that the rate be a percentage amount and that we just rename some of these fields to be more specific and also to work with to be date range specific. I need to get confirmation from the developer as to how these tax types will work when importing credit notes and invoices, because currently the imports work off the functionality linked to Sage 1. So that is just something to consider. And that is all that you need to set up before you begin with the debtors module. We will run through the reports that is available as we process and the receipting part of the module. Everything from batch processing invoices down to batch processing write-offs. These 4 items are still currently in development, so we will not be looking at that today. So in preparation, I have already created a customer to test with, and that would be our Mr. Albus Dumbledore that I've created. I have set the contact details to mine and the email address to mine so that when we email the documents, we can actually receive them to my inbox and have a look at that. So I've created customer Albus Dumbledore to test with. In preparation, I've also gone ahead and done some invoices. So the invoices, credit notes, adjustments, and write-offs all still exist under the current menu, which is billing. You will see the difference now once we start processing. So navigating to invoices, I have created 3 invoices for Albus Dumbledore, dated current, 30 days and 90 days overdue. So this button on the existing title says push to Sage 1. Now it is authorize invoice. These 2 buttons here as well, previously referred to Sage 1, now it is authorize selected and authorize all. Authorize selected refers to the number of records you are displaying per page. So out of these 10 records that I'm displaying, 4 will need to be authorized. I have logged tickets just for the grammar and the wording of these confirmation pop-ups. They will be a little bit prettier. And then the authorize all button refers to all outstanding invoices for all the records. Note there is still text here that says push to Sage 1. This should not say that. I've logged that as well. So there's still a couple of cosmetic and grammar issues that will come up. But the overall functionality does work. Okay, so major differences that you will see on the invoicing screen is the push to Sage 1 button now says authorize invoice, and the push to Sage 1 buttons, the bulk buttons at the top, now refer to authorize selected and authorize all. So when selecting to authorize the invoice, again, these confirmation pop-ups I've logged for the wording to just be a little bit more grammatically correct. It will say in future, would you like to proceed? And then we will authorize the invoice, and then we get a little green banner to say that it's been successful. Again, this banner I've logged just for the wording to be changed, just to simply state that the invoice has been successfully authorized. The generated part, I don't want that to be there, but that's something that will be fixed when we go live. But for now, at least you can see you do get a confirmation banner. Authorize selected. I will select to authorize the other 4 that I have outstanding. One is for a different customer. But we can go ahead and authorize that, and we get our confirmation ticks to show for which customers these have been authorized. So that functionality works quite nicely. Okay, now that an invoice has been authorized, I can still view the invoice, email the invoice, download it, clone the invoice, and also launch the pop-up to view the customer details screen. So that functionality still works the same as well. Okay, let's have a look at the age analysis. This is when you navigate to Debtors and then age analysis. We can view for all filters. So we can see the invoice I did to be due for current does appear. The invoice for 30 days is under the correct box, and then 90 days. So I see when you click on an amount, you get to see the invoices that are linked to this customer. Okay. So our age analysis appears to be working correctly. I don't see any immediate issues. Yes, I don't see any immediate issues. The fields are a little bit out because I'm working on a smaller screen. On a normal size screen, all of these fields are spaced out correctly, so don't be too alarmed by that. Okay, that is our age analysis report, and then let us go to debtors and customer transaction report. I just would like to see if anything displays here for, okay. We need to click on the button at the top, show filters and actions. Here you can choose your range. There is a slight bug with this at the moment, which I've logged, but in future you would be able to choose your from and to customer. I've logged the cosmetic ticket as well, just for the full text to show there. And I will choose the date range of 12 months. Again, my screen is small, so there is a bit of overlap there with the date field. All right, let's have a look. If information will generate here. Let's choose another customer to view with. Alright, I had some issues with this report when testing last week Friday, so usually your information would display according to the filters that you've chosen. I will have a look with the developer and see if for some reason this is currently broken, what we can figure out there. But the report was working to some extent last week, so I know that the developer is working on it. Regardless, we can proceed with our processing. If you navigate to billing and then credit notes, we will select to add a credit note for, let's choose Albus Dumbledore again. There is the option to link the credit note to the original invoice, which we will do. And we can choose the amount as well. I will just make that 5,000 and create the credit note. So again, on this screen, you have the option to authorize the credit note. And I see we've got an authorize all button here. Again, grammar will be corrected on all the confirmation pop-ups. Let us authorize this credit note, and then we get our pop-up to say that it has been successfully authorized. I would like to view the age analysis again and the customer transactions report. Alright, so we can see on the customer transaction report the closing balance for Albus Dumbledore, and we can further drill down. Again, that credit note should appear here, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, let's have a look at the age analysis. So our total has decreased, and the credit note has been logged under the 30 days overdue, which is correct because we did a credit note on this invoice for 5,000 Rand. And we can see over here our credit note has been logged. I am just wondering regarding the document numbers that I specified. Okay, so I'm picking up an issue here. I did specify invoice starting and credit note starting numbers, and I see on the age analysis it's not really taking that into account, and it has cleared those fields as well. So that's a bug that I need to be aware of. Alright, so that is logging our credit notes and authorizing them. The process would be the same for adjustments as I've been told, but I see we've still got a push selected to Sage buttons here, so I would just like to create a test one. Test adjustments. Alright, I recall the developer specifying that what changed on the adjustment screen is that the user now has to manually specify whether the transaction type is a credit or a debit. In this instance, we can credit for an amount of 2,000 and create the adjustment. Okay, so again, we have the option to authorize the adjustment, which was previously pushed to Sage 1. So I am going to go ahead and assume that the developer has not gotten around to renaming these buttons. So that is something that I will log for him as well. So generally you would have the two bulk buttons to authorize your adjustments. Again, grammar will be logged for those confirmation pop-ups. Alright, so once it has been authorized, you can still view and clone and launch the customer details pop-up. We could just quickly have a look at the write-offs as well. If we create a write-off, by show, do a write-off for 10 Rand and create the write-off. Alright, so we have the button to authorize write-offs, which was previously a push to Sage 1. I see we've got the authorize all button, but not a authorize selected. So that is again something I need to check with the developer. We can authorize and we get the label. Alright. So existing functionality is there for most of our processing, just a couple of cosmetic grammar and functionality bugs that we're running into. But the basic gist of it is that you will always now see an authorize button instead of push to stage 1. Okay, the biggest part about the new debtors module would be the receipts. So I have already gone ahead and tested some of these receipts. So you can click on debtors and navigate to list receipts in order to view them. You can manually create receipts, if I'm not mistaken, by clicking on the Show Filters and Action button, Add Receipt. Let us create a receipt for Albus Dumbledore under the bank I have created. Create a receipt for, let's make it 4,000. You can link it to the invoice and this will complete the matching, or if you do not select the invoice, pretty sure it will let you bypass, and we can receipt for today. Yes, so there's no validation on having to select the invoice number as mandatory because you can manually go and match your items. Let's have a look at our receipt. So I see we have the option to edit, delete, and mark as reviewed. If we navigate to debtors and then match receipts, let's have a look and see if we can manually match that receipt that we did for Albus Dumbledore. Okay, so we can match our credit note as well that was created earlier, and we can match our receipt for 4,000. So you could simply just click on the, let's have a look how this works. So the idea is to click on the arrow and drag your matching. Okay, and that has allocated our receipt for 4,000, and if you want to unmatch, you simply click on the delete icon and your item moves back to the matching column. Okay. And I would like to request some sort of save button here or back button, but for now it's a simple drag and drop option for our matching. Okay, so once we've matched that, we can have a look at our age analysis again and transaction report. Alright, so for customer Albus Dumbledore, we can still see the credit note of 5,000 Rand. Our adjustment has processed as well, and our receipt of 4,000. I would have expected this receipt. Alright, I matched it to the invoice that was 3 days overdue, so I'm actually quite happy that it shows under that column. And then we did a write-off for this customer, so I would just like to see if that appears. Okay, our write-off of 10 Rand appears under the current overdue. Okay. The next option to be aware of with receipting is we can import receipts. So there's still a decision being made about the fact that the option is listed under billing, import wizard, import receipts from CSV file. This might move under the debtors module, but we are still discussing that. So when you navigate to that menu, step 1, you can download the sample file of what your file should look like. And step 2, once you've edited your sample data to include so what would need to appear on your import file is the transaction ID. I see that it says here it should be unique for each receipt. This is something that is not being validated at the moment, so I will log that for development. Your receipt date, receipt number, customer reference, customer account code. Bank account name needs to be the exact same name as in Dartitle. I did pick up an issue where there was a space after a specific bank name when creating it under debtors bank accounts. So users do need to be aware of adding spaces, but development will add in a hard-coded feature to trim the spaces. Okay, then you can have document comments, description, and total. So once you've got your import file ready, you can browse and select the file, and then you will be able to see your file's records, and you can validate the file as well. Here we can see my file was successful. We have for 4 customers that I created prior to this testing, it shows which bank account it's going to. If there is any information missing, the validation should give you an exact error message to say incorrect bank name or cannot match the bank name, no account code, incorrect date format. So what I'm referring to where it says each transaction ID needs to be unique for each receipt, I see here it's currently allowing the same transaction ID. So that's something that I would like to query with development. But for now, the functionality is working. Once you are happy with your records, you would click next and select to import the rows and then import now. Once you click there, you'll get a confirmation of all the rows that have been imported. And what works nicely with this is under debtors import receipt rules, you can then create a rule to state what you would like upon the import. So I will create one. You can match according to a keyword. So for my matching, I will use the bank name. And then the type of match, you can select for it to be an exact match to that keyword or a partial match to that keyword. And you can set a priority, and what will happen is when the receipt is imported, you are then choosing which customer it needs to automatically match to. Okay, so that is nice functionality there. So under debtors list receipts, you have your filter button to view receipts by customer and receipt status. The pull selected, I will be honest, I'm not entirely sure what this is supposed to do. If it's pulling from Sage 1, I will confirm with the developer, but overall, creating a receipt using the new debtors module is quite straightforward. Matching manually is quite straightforward, and creating import rules, your basic setup is also very user-friendly. There are a couple of bugs on the customer transaction report which will be fixed before going live. And let us send a statement run. We can send one from Albus Dumbledore to Albus Dumbledore. Let's select the option to exclude 0 and less balances. Okay, we've got a bit of a typo there as well. Okay, so we get confirmation that the statement has run finished and the emails have been added to the queue. Again, I will be logging grammar for these type of confirmation screens and pop-ups. Can just have a look and see if anything appears in my inbox. So basic overview, the processing still remains under the billing menu. This is for your invoices, credit notes, adjustments, write-offs. And to import, your invoices and receipts are still under the import wizard, and sample files are available. Your debtors menu tab is where you will find your receipts, where you can state your import receipt rules and match your receipts. And then you've got your setup. We've noted that there are a couple of bugs on the billing account type and account setup. Tax type, I'm still awaiting for confirmation how this affects the current default tax types, tax rates under the billing menu. And our statement run appears to be successful. I'm not going to open the invoice because my screen record will then cancel. All right, and then we noted at the beginning the setup for debtors module is available, also quite straightforward. We just see there is an issue with our document start numbers. I am currently running through all the screen tests and logging that with development, and then we will be launching our phase 1 to 4 testing with some of our customers to give us feedback as well. So this demo is just a basic overview of the functionality as it is in development and in conjunction with the testing department, which is my department. And I hope that this was quite straightforward and user-friendly and an exciting preview of the debtors module, which I think is a job well done so far. All right, thank you.